Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today I am joined by Eitan Yardeni, live from New York, to help us break down the spiritual weather forecast for the upcoming 7 days. This week really encourages us, perhaps more than any week of the year, to step back and reflect on how we got where we are, what we're doing, and I guess given the opportunity, what we would change. Even though this period specifically, as we talked about last week, is not one of the most energetic, opportunistic weeks of the year, at the same time, there is a unique opportunity, and we want to make sure to take advantage of that. As always, Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah and pulling out the wisdom and tools that we think will support our listeners. And even though the week's energy is specific to this week and the lessons are specific to this week, this is wisdom and tools that can be used any week of the year, anytime in your life. And being that this is known as a heavy period, we wanted to focus on the light that's available in this time. This week specifically has two influences. Again, we're in this period that's called the weeks of narrowness. And I received many questions and comments from listeners throughout the week asking about specific situations and things that are already happening. Being that we're now in the middle, we're literally, this is the middle 7 days of the process, we also have an opportunity this week. Every week has a boost in it. And we just started the month of Leo, which is another thing we want to touch on as well. The energy of Leo supports us to rise to the next level, to be a leader in whatever area of life. You don't have to have 100 people behind you to be a leader. So this combination of the beginning of the month of Leo and the momentum it can help us create in our own lives, together with the energy of the week, which really we can focus on how to take responsibility in a spiritual way, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we pay attention not to fall to the criticism, to the beating ourselves up, to the judging ourselves and others that can often appear like taking responsibility, but actually have the opposite effect. So, Eitan, thank you for joining me today. I'm very excited to break this down with you. What stands out for you this week specifically?
So it's interesting. Here is the contradiction that you mentioned. In one hand, we're here to express, especially this week, the energy of Leo, the energy of leadership. And when we apply ourselves as a leader, usually it's about the energy I'm giving out. And at the same time, you mentioned that these 7 days, as within the secret of looking within and taking responsibility. And it looks like a contradiction. When you leader, you just give energy, not thinking about yourself. And when you take responsibility and you reflect, you're more intervened. So what's the balance? And I think the issue for all of us is balance. It's not what's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. Life is about finding the balance. So for me, when people ask me the question, what does it mean everything is for the good? How do you define the good day? That I feel good? That everything goes according to my plan? For me, a good day is when I am growing, when I'm improving, when I've learned lessons and being able to apply how to open my heart and how to be more sensitive with love, with sharing, with compassion. How am I moving in the right direction to be less reactive? So in order to be the leader that each one of us meant to be, has to be reflection, where can I grow? And as you mentioned, Elisheva, we are towards the last week of this 3 weeks intensive period. And Karen Berg, which it's not a coincidence that she left the world in the last day of the 3 weeks, that represent the day with the greatest light, but it appeared with the greatest darkness. Because she always spoke about the concept. In the darkest moment, remember, you have the greatest light. And this week, anytime that you face any type of darkness, can be emotional pain, can be stress, can be things don't go according to your plan, this is the week to spend extra energy to reflect, because our opportunity for true growth available this week more than any other week of the year. So, how do you make sure, like you said before, Elisheva, that I'm reflecting for the sake of improving and I'm not becoming critical? And always Karen Berg would say, the purpose of reflecting, that you become a better human being, that you show up in a more loving way. And that's a connection between Leo, which is the sun. Leo is controlled by the planet sun that's shining. The goal of reflecting is not to beat myself up and to dwell in shame and in guilt and feeling low and less than. Actually, the goal of reflecting is for the sake of being able to show up in a more humble way, in a more daring way, courageous way. And that's the difference between self-judgment or healthy reflection. If I'm going to, as a result of my self-reflection, give more energy, becoming less controlled by my ego, need less external validation, purely operating and sharing from the heart, that's healthy reflection. Rav Ashlag said something very powerful. Let's say you were not aware of certain shortcoming that you have yesterday. And because of a challenge or because of a fight with someone or because of an embarrassing situation with someone, you suddenly see so clearly some of your shortcoming, your jealousy, you're over-judgmental, you're insensitive. And our natural tendency is to feel, wow, today I'm worse than yesterday. I wish I would be like yesterday. And Rav Ashlag reminds us, actually today you're much higher than yesterday. Because if today you were able to see the shortcomings that you didn't see yesterday, doesn't mean they were not there yesterday. Of course they were there. It means that the light of the Creator gave you a chance to see what was there concealed yesterday. The fact that I see it today, it means I have a chance to grow. So what is a better day? Yesterday, when I saw nothing and I felt amazing? Or today, when I was able to see things that I'm not proud of? And the key, after the initial ego that we all initially a little bit too extreme self-judgmental, pause and remind yourself, I'm better than yesterday. What is the lessons I can learn about myself? What is the practical action I can do differently? And let's inject some level of accepting with love.
I think what you said is so important, because as we transition, today is literally the first day of the month of Leo, and the month of Cancer is famous for showing us how we are controlled by our emotions, by our moods. I feel like it today. I don't feel like it today. I'm in a good mood today. I'm not in a good mood today. And that transition, even though we're in the same 3-week period, the ability, and that's one of the things I admire most about people I know who are the sign of Leo, is they can take responsibility, see where the work is to do without being heavy about it. And I feel it's important to bring up that idea that if you find yourself feeling guilty, ashamed, full of self-judgment, it's really something, first of all, it can look spiritual because it feels, or it has the same appearance as taking responsibility. But when something is heavy, that's a sign that it's connected to our body, to our ego, where it's not a fully spiritual or light process when we feel heavy about it. And so the 2 questions you asked, what can I learn? How, in observing let's say I realized something, I was insensitive, and I realized I didn't see it yesterday, but now I'm more aware of it. The question, or I think the distinguishment, let's say in the month of Cancer, we get stuck on, what did I do wrong? I can't believe I didn't notice it. How many people have I hurt in all these years of behaving this way? How am I ever going to change it if I'm not even aware when I'm doing it? To moving quickly from the first question to the second question. The second question is, what can I do differently? And that lightness, that ability to move quickly from self-reflection to action, to being able to utilize, right? We teach in Kabbalah that everything that I see, everything that I experience is for a reason. But never will the universe send us a scenario or a situation or a person that's meant to hold us back, that's meant to immobilize or paralyze us. We are, in the Kabbalists call our world the world of action. So I think one of the most beautiful lessons is to be light about taking responsibility. I notice something, and what can I do about it? Rather than dwelling, rolling around in it, feeling terrible about it, really picking up all of the information I've been given, knowing that, the reason that I'm seeing it now is because I have everything that I need to work on it, to transform it, and then taking the steps, even if the step is simply apologizing, acknowledging, admitting to somebody else, I had this crazy realization of how insensitive I am. And please, if I ever did anything that was insensitive or hurtful, and please let me know, or please help me. If you see me engaging in that again, call me on it. I don't want to be that version of me anymore. To be light about it, I think in the people that I consider leaders, it's one of the most admirable qualities, to be light and easy about things that can be potentially heavy and burdensome.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Light versus heavy. When I feel light about my reflection, it means I'm connecting to the light and I'm growing. When I feel heavy, it's the body consciousness. So let's even get deeper about that. Question number 1, why sometimes we don't like to actually take the time to take responsibility between us and our soul, between us and the Creator. And then the most powerful thing is to be able to share it with a friend. Why we are dreading it? Because in our perception, taking responsibility means something is wrong with me. And if something is wrong with me, I'm less than. And it's a painful thing I don't want to deal with. It actually will make me heavy. So let me avoid taking, that's one extreme. Let me avoid truly reflecting and taking responsibility and shove it and suppress it because I'm afraid of the pain, of feeling less than. I have enough insecurities, movies in my head and stories about myself from my childhood. So let me just shine, and I want to believe in myself, and I want to be around people that just believe in me. That's and escape. And that's very important. To attach taking responsibility, as you said, Elisheva, is because I don't want to be heavy. Doesn't it mean less than? Because who is the real me? What is my true identity? The last mistake that I've done? Or the last amazing things that I've done that I'm proud of? Let's remember, Kabbalah is sharing that my true identity is the eternal power within me, which is a pure, loving soul that connecting to the light. And I need to try to make an effort. It's a spiritual work. To make an effort to treat myself during amazing time and during mistakes time. I'm a beautiful soul. And from that place, taking responsibility is just another tool to be able to reveal my beautiful soul and to express my beautiful soul. So every time we hear the word, the heaviness of responsibility or reflection, right away we're thinking, I'm going down. So the trick for me, when somebody is happened to criticize me about something and my initial reaction is defensive because I'm going to go down. I'm going to be less than. Just tell myself, I'm going up. And try gradually, it's a process, to soften your heart and open yourself for the messages of the universe. And he says, so one way, one extreme is running away even from taking responsibility. The other extreme is we're so harsh with ourselves, and a lot of people thinking that I'm growing spiritually when I'm dwelling in guilt. I beat myself up, so I earn my points, now I can move on in life. You don't earn any points by dwelling in guilt. Heaviness drains the energy of the room, the energy of my soul, and the energy of people around me. Okay?
But let me ask you a question, because there is a teaching that's especially connected to this time period that talks about feeling the pain. Feeling the pain that I haven't reached my full potential, feeling the pain of the world, feeling the pain that there is still darkness and there's still struggle and illness and suffering. So where is the balance between, okay, I identified I have work to do, here's something I need to work on, and that teaching that the feeling of the pain actually serves a spiritual purpose as well, because the beating oneself up can feel painful, but I don't think it's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, but it's amazing because that Kabbalistic teaching, and especially in this 3 weeks period, it is healthy once a day. The best time is after midnight, to spend at least 10 or 15 minutes of feeling the pain of the world, feeling the pain of my own soul not achieving its own purpose, feeling the pain of compassion for what's going outside. So the difference between feeling the pain of beating myself up is reactive and selfish and temporary pain. It's the pain of my ego. It's the pain of I want everything to be fixed instantly. It's the pain that doesn't cause me to open my heart to care and to give more to other people. The other pain that the Kabbalah suggests, especially in this time, is understanding that we all coming from a quantum collective one soul consciousness. And if there is pain in the world, and especially the pain of people are not changing, that causing chaos, it's within me. And by me trying to work on myself, to find a place in the heart that I feel true compassion for the sake of awakening the fire within me to do something different, to show up different to the world. So the pain of compassion, the pain of I'm not reaching my potential, the pain of empathy, when it comes from the right place, from the soul, from the heart, it's not leads towards depression. It leads towards deeper awakening of my light, of my desire to give, of my desire to help others, that when I really feel the pain of others and compassion for others, I'm not in the frequency of judging others. Very often when we look at the news, we see painful situations, it triggers judgment. This is not okay. This is right. When pain triggers judgment, it's not the soul pain that leads towards growth and showing up in a greater way. Because when even when you sit in front of someone and they're sharing with you their pain, one place in our consciousness is judgment, and I already have the solutions, and they should do this and this and this, wake up, change already. And the other way is just to try to connect to the deep place within us, and it's a work for all of us in this fast-paced world of feeling actually their pain, feeling where they came from, put myself in their shoes. Because that pain that I have, because we all quantumly connected, I have within me. And when I'm coming from this place, suddenly I will have some intuition what to tell them, how to tell them, in a way it will reach their heart. So feeling the pain in a healthy way is bringing more the connections, the consciousness of oneness, of desire for oneness, desire for elevation.
It's amazing too, because in the beginning you talked about, right, when I do recognize something that I can work on, realizing that I'm going up and not falling down, a big part of that for me, and I don't know if everyone listening can relate, sometimes you have an epiphany, a realization about something that you can work on or transform or strengthen, even a positive quality that you realize needs to be brought out more. You have a revelation and then it disappears. And you forget about it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then another situation comes up to show it to you. And the antidote to that forgetting that I've learned is to, first of all, get excited about it. Like to realize that when the universe shows you where your work is, it's a gift. I'm not going to take it for granted. And I don't want to lose touch with that assignment that the universe has basically said, here's your work right now. You see this right now, what you're looking at, this is where the work is for you right now. And to focus, to really bombard that area with learning, meditation, again, asking for support from people around you, that you make sure that negativity doesn't get buried in the, again, fast-paced life, lots of things going on. Sometimes other things other than my spiritual work can look like they need to take priority. And by building that momentum and excitement around, I received this clear communication from the light of the Creator that this is where my focus is. I don't want to lose this file. I don't want to misplace it. I don't want it to come back 6 months from now in a more painful and devastating way. And by really, I think, especially in this time that some people say, well, if it's the 3 negative weeks, what is it good for? This is what it's good for. That self-reflection with really being curious and how can I do better? How can I grow? What can I learn? And making sure that we don't let the revelation disappear. And the universe is a merciful universe. We're always going to have another chance and another chance to see it. But the nature of the universe is that if we let it go the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, it comes back harder. So we can't forget it. So the goal as a spiritual person is when we identify, when we're shown where the work is, to not lose it, to hold on to it, to grasp it tightly so that we focus on the work that the universe believes that we are ready to work on, and that it doesn't become secondary, or it doesn't have to come back later on to hit us in an even harder way. Last thoughts or assignments you want to send our listeners with?
Yes, the last thoughts is first, I love what you said. And actually, this Kabbalist said that the Kabbalist says, there's a say about this, the mere fact that you are shown about something that you can improve, it means the Creator also gave you the strength to improve it. As long as you attach to it positive emotions and not guilt and shame, I can tell you personally, years ago when I suffered from intestine issues, one of my main reflection is being overly criticizing myself, not from a healthy place, that brought about that sickness. So, the last point I would love to share, yes, growth, yes, reflection, yes, going to the next level, but embrace it with excitement. And even though initially it doesn't feel exciting, but remember, the messages of heaviness comes from the ego. The thoughts of excitement and elevation come from our soul. Bottom line is, I want to be a better person as a result of this experience.
Beautiful. So this is absolutely the week to reflect on where the work is. And if you look back over the last few weeks, there is no way that you will not identify a theme, a pattern, a habit that's coming up that isn't your best self. If you're searching for things to work on, simply reflect on the last week or two, and you'll see without a doubt where the work is. To ask, how can I grow from this? What can I do about it to make sure that I'm excited, that I'm light about it, that I'm not allowing the feelings of guilt or shame or self-judgment to hijack the process, because that takes it out of the light and into the darkness, into the shadow. And to really take the opportunity, especially, the 3 weeks ends, if you're listening on Monday or Tuesday, the 3 weeks ends in 1 week. Tuesday is we'll talk about it a little bit next week as well, but Tuesday is the 9th day of the month of Leo, which is both the peak of the energy, but also where the energy transmutes and goes from darkness to light. And so that's one day of the year that we spend actually fasting, trying not to feed to feed the physical body with any opportunity to connect to negativity or to be held down by selfish desires. There's different things that we do to make sure that we stay connected to the frequency of the light during those 24 hours. But after Tuesday, the energy of the month of Leo increases. We'll talk about it next week, of course, but just to keep your mind and to prepare your attention for it, that even though this is the last week and it's definitely intensifying, the month of Leo is actually opposite to the way the rest of the months of the year work on the Kabbalistic calendar. Normally the first 2 weeks are positive and the light dissipates over the second 2 weeks, the same way that the moon fills with light and then wanes. But in the month of Leo, it's the opposite, that the second 2 weeks of the month are actually the more positive 2 weeks. And we're going to prepare you guys for that as well. But to keep in mind that as we build up to that energy, it may feel intense, but if you stay focused on this work, it will be a blessed process, an enlightening process. And again, the darkness is always greatest before the dawn, which means that the work that we do to stay connected and inspired in these times has that much more impact than in a time where we feel light and inspired and naturally connected and everything is flowing. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us there for additional content and inspiration based on the weekly energy. You can also visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, to find out more about the things we think are important for our listeners. And you can click the donate button to support our podcast as well. But as always, the best thing that you can do is to share this episode, like it, rate it, review it wherever you're listening. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.